everyone, welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're diving straight into the incredibly fascinating framework of internal family systems, or IFS. Look, instead of viewing your mind as just this one single unified entity that always totally agrees with itself, we're going to flip the script. We're going to treat the mind like a vivid, dynamic cast of characters. If you've ever felt totally conflicted about a decision or, wondered why you react in certain ways despite your absolute best intentions, well, understanding this internal team is going to be an absolute game changer for your self-awareness. Okay, let's dive right into this. Ever felt like two voices inside your head are just having a full-blown argument? We've all been there, right? You're lying in bed and one voice is literally yelling, "You need to relax, go to sleep," while another is shouting back, "No time for that, we have deadlines." It honestly feels like a couple of sitcom roommates bickering right inside your brain, leaving you totally exhausted and just stuck in the middle. But what if I told you this chaos is completely normal? Seriously, it's just your internal parts trying to navigate life. And that brings us to the core, biting mantra of IFS. There are no bad parts. Now, when you're dealing with an intense inner critic or say a part of you that constantly procrastinates, it is so easy to get frustrated. You just want to banish those thoughts, right? But IFS teaches us something really beautiful. Every single part of our psyche, even the incredibly frustrating ones, actually has a purely positive intention. Believe it or not, they are all just trying to protect us from pain or failure, even if their methods are, well, a little misguided. So, how do they protect us? Our mind actually divides this protective labor into two totally distinct coping mechanisms to handle daily stressors. On one side, we have our proactive protectors. In IFS, these are called managers. They are all about planning ahead, trying to prevent harm long before it ever happens. On the flip side, we have our reactive protectors, known as firefighters. Now, they don't plan at all. They just act impulsively to put out emotional fires the exact second they spark. Let's break these two down a bit more. Okay, so managers. These are the hyper-organized, proactive parts of your mind. Honestly, think of them as the ultimate overachievers of your internal system. This is where your inner perfectionist or your people pleaser lives. They are working tirelessly day in and day out, trying to keep your life perfectly predictable and safe. Why? So that you never, ever have to face the sting of failure or criticism or rejection. They're basically trying to shield you by keeping the whole shebang perfectly under control. But what happens when those managers inevitably fail and a really painful emotion breaks through? Well, that's when the firefighters rush in. And firefighters are highly reactive. They do not care about your 5-year plan. They just want to stop the pain immediately. They definitely mean well, but they use impulsive, sometimes destructive methods just to get some temporary relief from the overwhelm. This is that part of you that might resort to sudden bursts of anger, or overeating, or just mindless hours of doom scrolling. They just want to numb that intense feeling, no matter the cost. Now, you might be wondering, why are the managers and firefighters working so incredibly hard? Like, what are they actually trying to protect? The answer is the exiles. Exiles are the most vulnerable, wounded parts of you. They're usually much younger parts of our psyche that are carrying unresolved pain, shame, trauma, or really deep-seated fears. Basically, they hold the heavy emotional burdens and difficult memories that your managers and firefighters are desperately, and I mean desperately, trying to keep locked away in the basement of your mind so you don't have to feel them. So the crucial point is this. While it might seem like the whole goal of self-improvement is to fix those uptight managers or stop those impulsive firefighters, true healing actually comes from safely reconnecting with those exiles. Because when an exile gets activated and those old feelings of sadness or neglect bubble up to the surface, it immediately triggers all those other protective parts into overdrive. Unburdening the exiles, so they literally don't have to carry that past pain anymore, is how you ultimately bring lasting peace to your entire internal system. So, who actually does this healing? Well, it's not another part. It is the self. In IFS, the self is this calm, curious, and deeply compassionate core essence of who you truly are. If your parts are the cast of characters, think of the self as the director of the play. It's that steady, grounded presence within you that doesn't judge at all. When the self is in the driver's seat, it builds trust with the protectors, it balances out the system, and it safely helps those wounded exiles finally release their heavy burdens. And this brilliantly illustrates how we can actually start working with these concepts. We can take these abstract psychological terms and turn them into tangible, totally relatable characters. So your manager isn't just the concept of perfectionism, maybe it's literally an uptight librarian with a strict clipboard. Your firefighter isn't just procrastination, maybe it's a sleepy sloth in cozy pajamas. And your exile isn't just abstract fear, it's a trembling little kitten. Giving them these vivid visual identities instantly demystifies our inner workings. It makes them so much easier to understand and, crucially, to interact with. The reason this visualization is so incredibly powerful is that it creates a safe psychological distance. Think about it. If you just say, I am anxious, you are totally blended with that overwhelming feeling. You literally are the anxiety. But if you translate that abstract feeling into an image, like picturing your anxiety as a tiny, wide-eyed owl sitting on your shoulder, just keeping watch, you suddenly aren't the anxiety anymore. You are the self calmly observing the anxious part. This simple shift is a total game changer. It fosters deep empathy and curiosity rather than harsh self-criticism. Let's move to and see how this builds into a simple, actionable technique that you can honestly use right now to access your parts. Step 1. Identify a feeling or habit that's been bothering you. Got it? Okay, step 2. Close your eyes and give it a look. Is it a person? A creature? Maybe an object? Step 3. Just observe the details. How big is it? What color is it? Is it acting friendly or is it super grumpy? By doing this, you're giving your part a distinct visual identity, and that allows your core self to safely sit down and actually have a conversation with it. Now, some of your parts, especially those fearful exiles we talked about, they might be way too scared to just come out and talk. That's where the safe space visualization comes in. First, picture a really calm setting in your mind. Maybe it's a cozy, warm cabin with a crackling fireplace or a quiet, sunlit meadow. Second, gently invite the part into the setting. And third, offer it some reassurance. Just ask it, hey, what do you need to feel safe here? Creating this mental haven is very often exactly what a wounded part needs to feel comfortable enough to finally open up and share its story. Once a part feels safe and has shared its pain with you, we can help it let go using the burden visualization technique. First, you identify the emotional baggage that the part is carrying. Then, you ask the part to choose a visual symbol for that specific burden. It could look like a heavy rock, a dark thundercloud, or maybe a balloon. Next, right in your mind's eye, you help the part release it. You watch the rock drop to the ground or the balloon drift way up into the sky. And finally, you just sit back and feel the profound shift as that part becomes lighter, brighter, and free. To guide you through all these visualizations, IFS provides an ultimate, step-by-step roadmap known as the 6 Fs. You find the part. You focus on it in your body. You flesh it out visually. You check how you feel toward it, which is crucial to ensure you're actually in self-energy. You befriend it by learning its positive intent, and finally, you ask about its fears to discover exactly what it's protecting. This structured process pretty much guarantees that you are safely establishing a compassionate relationship between yourself and your inner team. Now, what's really fascinating here is that once you get to know these parts, you're going to start noticing that they absolutely do not always agree. In fact, sometimes they actively fight. You've got a manager screaming at you to work harder and a firefighter screaming to just shut down completely. It is an exhausting tug of war. So, what actually happens when your well-meaning protectors go to war with each other? Well, we're going to dive into the chaotic and fascinating world of internal polarizations in part 2 of this explainer series. You definitely won't want to miss it.